Hello, welcome back to History of Wine and the Vine. I'm Emily Kate. I thought it might be fun today to go through a couple of my secondary sources that I have with me and to talk through my research process. So to start, I have some different stacks of books around me and we will start with the category of literature. So this is called Wine, Women, and Song, Medieval Latin Student Songs, and it's translated with an essay by John Addington Symonds. And this is a really great resource when I'm looking at literature and with the entire set. So these other ones, Wine, Women, and Death, and Wine, Women, and Song in Iberia. So these include Hebrew, Arabic, and Latin poems. So it's really interesting to see the different religious differences. And I'll just show you. So this is how there's just a translation of the Latin poem in this one, and then an essay at the end, whereas some of the other ones, sometimes they have just excerpts of poems within essays, so that's why I prefer that one. So that takes care of religion and literature. Then we have trade and politics. So I'll put this one down. These two huge books are The History of the Wine Trade in England, volumes 1 and 2. And it looks kind of intimidating, but it's actually broken up really well. I'll just show you in the index, because what's interesting about this is it takes into account the different political factors that affect trade. So if there's a new king or if there's a conquest throughout the history of England, and it chronicles what effect that had on the wine trade, which is really useful. And within the different kings, it talks about the different tariffs and all kinds of wonderful details. So I'll just show you. It's broken up like this: chapter 1, chapter 2. So origin of trade, wine trade in pre-Norman times, influence of Norman conquest. Very interesting book. And if you are interested in learning more about trade, there are Studies in the Medieval Wine Trade. This is a great book, and it's by Marjorie James. Furthermore, in politics, there are these two books, which I definitely recommend. By Grosvenor, it's Liquid Assets, Dangerous Gifts, and then by Hickey, Wine, Wealth, and the State in Late Antique Egypt. So what I really love about this book is that this is the Liquid Assets, Dangerous Gifts, is that there's great visual representation. And when you're researching, this is a wonderful tool because, for instance, this is spending on wine, in Basel from 1440 to 1530. So you can check these different spikes and find out, okay, what happened in those years and kind of cross-reference it with other books, which gets very, very useful. Then we have kind of the more narrow, looking at one place in particular. So this is one of my favorite books, Vinum, The Story of Roman Wine. It's by Stuart J. Fleming. I'll just show you the page. Stuart J. Fleming. And as you can see, it's a big book, and it's a book that has a lot of images. So it has maps and diagrams, it has pictures, and it's just extremely useful. This is one of my favorite pictures that I'll try to show you. It is underwater excavation of amphora. So really interesting pictures and a ton of information, but again, focused only on Rome. Then we have this one focused on Israel, Fruit of the Vine, Viticulture in Ancient Israel by Carrie Ellen Walsh. These are great because I'll show you. It has the Hebrew text, and then it has just translation of Hebrew text, and then it starts in on an essay. So I really like that format, like I was talking about in the poems, where you can kind of draw your own conclusions and then read what someone else has to say. And then Wine and Wine Offering in the Religion of Ancient Egypt. So these are all really great books done by category. So when I'm researching an individual topic, I don't need to look at all of the books. I just need to think about which books might have things that pertain to what I'm looking at. So for instance, right now I'm working on the ancient Greece video. So I would look here and say, okay, Origins and Ancient History of Wine. This will probably have something. It's edited by Patrick McGovern, Stuart Fleming, who wrote the Vinum book, and Solomon Katz. And if you come here into this area, you see this is, so this book is a compilation of essays. I'll explain this first. So it has different topics. So history and archaeology of wine in Near East and Egypt, history and archaeology of wine in the Mediterranean, and then each essay deals with a specific aspect of that. So here I have flagged, because I'm doing Greece, the Paleo-Ethnobotanical Finds of Vidus from Greece. So I would go through and read this whole essay and any other essays having to do with Greece. And as you can see, this one is fairly technical. And I'll go through these and I'll jot down, I have lots and lots of notes, and I jot down what I'm interested in learning more about. Then I'll look in, here is Wine in the Ancient World by Seltman. And for instance, here we have special focus on the symposium. Then we have other books. Let's see, Wine and the Vine and Historical Geography of Viticulture and the Wine Trade by Tim Unwin. So here I have flagged a lot of things, but I have flagged the Greek wine trade. So as you can see, there's the wine trade, the economic aspect, there's the cultural aspect with the symposium, and then there's the more technical aspect with the Paleo-Ethnobotanical findings. So this is kind of how I do my research. I have one topic that I focus on, but I look at lots of different sources, and I try to get more specific ideas to share with you and for my research for university. These are secondary sources, so these are not the only things that I use. I use a lot of primary sources, but unfortunately I don't have them here in my home with me. They're actually at the library, Butler Library at Columbia. But it's great to look at Pliny and Columella, Virgil, Theophrastus, Cato, and Varro are some of the authors that I really love to look and see what they have to say about grape growing and winemaking. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!